shame on him, and he should go down to the count for that. Like, that's wrong, right? But the ones who he just got really drunk and invited them to his hotel room at like 2 a.m. to discuss acting opportunities, I have no sympathy for those women, whatever took place after that, especially if it was consensual, obviously. They got taken advantage of. Like, what does that mean exactly? What did you go up to a man's room at 2 o'clock in the morning for after drinking with? Like, I don't get it. And the Matt Lauer ones, like, there was one with Matt Lauer I think we spoke about last week, Gene, where the woman got summoned to his office, they had consensual sex, and then now she feels like she was taken advantage of. Like, I don't get that stuff. Like, I don't get, am I supposed to feel bad for her? What am I supposed to feel in that one?
Well, you have to be while you have to be sensitive to the story coming out, you also have to be analytical in how to address it. Yeah, let's assume that all these stories about Roy Moore are true. As you say, there's no crime, there's no criminal activity, there's no criminal behavior. Is it icky? That's for a person to decide subjectively. Now go to Matt Lauer. They were in a consensual relationship, and then it turned sour. We don't know when it turned sour, whether there were implications on her employment, that maybe she was forced out or something happened there. There may be the crime. But again, it's icky. In these situations, Russ, it is more about the perception than it is about the reality of what happened. Because the reality of what happened will never be 100% known except between those two people. So what you're left with is the PR crisis analysis, you're left with the spin, and you're left with maintaining the reputations of entities, in the case of Roy Moore, the U.S. Senate and the Republican Party, in the case of Matt Lauer, NBC and GE and whoever's running it these days, to keep up appearances that we don't tolerate bad behavior in the subject. We will stand with you, and if you think it's bad, we think it's bad, and we think it's bad, then that person's out. And that's what it's really all about. It's also about this greater idea, this macro idea of a culture of predation, a culture of predatory behavior that seems to be prevalent among the upper strata in, the power elite, the media elite, the Hollywood elite, the political elite. And a lot of it is just taking down the elite a peg as well and showing, hey, they're all bad up there and we need to change this entire culture. All that said has nothing to do with the legal analysis of what happened and whether there should be consequences in that realm. But if people want to go nuts, let them go nuts and let them, come up with whatever subjective consequences they want. But when we're talking about a vote, let the voter just vote and let the chips fall where they may. That's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, and you know what I think is one of the most tragic outcomes of this latest grouping of accusations that came out is...
Oh, absolutely. Here's the most tragic. I don't get to make Al Franken jokes anymore. That's the most tragic.
That's pretty sad. But what happened to Corey Feldman and Corey Haim? Weren't they supposed to be on unleashing a list of child predators that were in Hollywood? And now all of a sudden we got shifted over to these non-issues like Roy Moore and the supposed hanging out at a shopping mall looking at teenage girls. Like what happened to the actual pedophilia and of the list of Hollywood stars that was supposed to be released by these two guys? Well, that's what I've been waiting for.
Well, yeah, I think Corey Feldman was doing it for Corey Haim. I think Corey Feldman was doing it for Corey Haim because I believe he committed suicide some years ago, and this is what caused him to. So I think he's speaking up for his friend now and for what happened to him as well. But yeah, nothing's happened. Nothing's happened. Absolutely. We need to know. We need to get to the bottom of that. Maybe they're waiting for the most opportune moment, as we say. Who knows? Here's what I do know, Russ. We got to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll be talking about probably one of the worst weeks ever. I can't even say that right. One of the worst weeks ever for CNN and the liberal media. Gene and Russ, Behind Enemy Lines. We'll be back right after these brief words. If you're a long-time listener of the show, or maybe this is your first time listening, you can probably tell that me and the gang here, we like to have our share of fun, whether it's on or off the air. We talk about 2-drink minimum radio and no medication Wednesdays or whatever day it may be. That's why when we found the people at Less Government, More Fun, we knew it was a match made in heaven with this show. Folks, we live in a time where government is out of hand. Our founding fathers did not intend government to be all-consuming in all parts of our lives. That's why we are telling you to go to lessgovmorefun.com, check out the website, check out the swag. What the people want is less government, more fun. Pass it on, make it happen.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines Radio is all about being right. No, seriously, it is. If you ever listen to Russ Gallo or me go back and forth on some issue, we always want to make sure that we remember who said what and when we said it. That's why we go to goonrecord.com. It's a brand new social media website. Challenge people on what they believe, whether it's in politics, sports, entertainment, finance, whatever. There's a category for you at goonrecord.com. Check it out right now. Tell us, what do you stand for? It's time for you to go on record. Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air. Gene and Russ, back behind Enemy Lines. So we are just coming off of, Russ, probably the worst news week, and this is saying a lot, in the history of CNN. You want to talk about shoddy reporting and failure to take responsibility. This week, and let me just sum it up for everybody. This past Friday, CNN put out a story, breaking news, as they like to say, that President Trump had access to the WikiLeaks emails prior to the public getting access to it. Now, this would be a big deal, and this may prove that big C word, collusion, between Trump and Russia via WikiLeaks, because there's always been that tenuous connection between Russia and WikiLeaks, and that we can't prove and whatever, but you know it's there, because it has to be there, because if it's not there, then there's nothing there, and they're all screwed up on the left. Shocker there, I know, but that's where we're at right now. But so this whole story came out about how on September 4th, during the campaign, which was before the DNC email dump by WikiLeaks, Trump received an email with a code in it from WikiLeaks that said they could access all these emails and everything about from the DNC. And it was confirmed by multiple sources that they had this information, and all of a sudden the story fell and collapsed like a flan in the cupboard, because all those multiple sources apparently saw an email that said September 4th, when the Washington Post actually got the actual email, which said that it was given to Trump on September 14th, days after the public release by WikiLeaks of this information. And oh, by the way, these quote-unquote all multiple sources told the CNN reporters about the email, never actually gave them the... And oh, by the way, again, MSNBC and CBS independently confirmed the multiple sources by CNN regarding this date that apparently every multiple source didn't know how to read. And they all ran with the story as well. I don't even know where to begin with this, Russ. I mean, first of all, you got multiple sources that can't tell the difference between the number 4 and the number 14. Then you have independent verification, quote-unquote, by other news outlets, who basically now just showing themselves as piling onto a story and did no work whatsoever. And then you have these, quote-unquote, multiple sources that all got it wrong. And yet we're never going to know who they are because they protect their sources even when they are the worst sources in the world. So much to unpack here, Russ, but what do we do?
I'm curious, though, Gene. Let's just say, for argument's sake, everything they said was true and it was actually September 4th versus the 14th. What does that prove still? I don't get it.
It proves that Trump was given information during a campaign, possibly from a foreign entity, of damaging
from WikiLeaks.
Information from WikiLeaks. And, you know, what's his name? Julian Assange is overseas, and he would be an overseas person giving something of value to the campaign. That would be a campaign violation.
So Putin doesn't run WikiLeaks? Putin's not the webmaster of WikiLeaks?
You know what? I can't speak coding skills. So
but you see where I'm going? Like, I'm just
of course,
curious
yeah,
how
of
this
course.
Anything. I mean, as a matter of fact, I mean, I hate to even harp on this. As you know, I'm not a lawyer, and I don't pretend to be one, unlike you.
I pretend to be one.
This word collusion, show me where that's a crime anywhere. What does
it's
collusion
nowhere.
mean? Where is it in the penal law? Where is it in federal law? So I don't even understand what we're talking about when we talk about it would prove collusion. Collusion is not a crime, folks.
There is no definition legally.
It goes
for
back
collusion.
to the Roy Moore thing. It goes back to a whole bunch of other things. What is the crime? What are they accusing Donald Trump of? And what are they lying about now? Obviously, CNN just has no problem lying or faking that they misread, and all their sources also that Reddit misread a date. They have no problem doing this. But what are they trying to prove? What is Mueller trying to prove? Mueller,
yeah,
whatever the hell.
Bill, yeah, what was Robert Mueller trying to prove? Absolutely. To me, this shows the incompetence of CNN. You know, how does CNN hype up a story like this and have their reporter, whose name is Manu Raju,
No.
hype up this story.
Shocker.
Don't go there. Hype up a story and never even physically see the email in question. Never even ask to see the email in question. I don't get that. That is the laziest bit of journalism I could ever think of. I mean,
because there is no journalism. CNN doesn't have journalists. I mean,
Russ, do you realize that we're more credible now than CNN as a news source? Do you realize that?
Let me ask you something. Do you really believe that Matt Lauer's career is done?
Oh, no. He's going to get some magazine show of his own somewhere after.
Because I mean, remember a guy named Brian Williams?
Oh, absolutely. He was with Hillary Clinton when they had the whole sniper fire thing, and he had,
yes,
absolutely, yeah.
So
the memes
his
are still
credibility
alive.
was completely shot. I think we could all agree on that,
right? And he was taken off of NBC Nightly News, and now he's on MSDNC at the 11 o'clock at the 11th hour. I think it's called
with
right?
with a real news show. Like, I mean. What more needs to be said, Gene? You think the credibility is something that they strive for at any of these news, quote unquote, news channels or agencies? I mean, come on. Brian Williams has a show again.
Russ,
no credibility. Zero.
If someone you know called you up and said, hey, I have this hot lead on AB, and it's all according to this document that I'm reading to you right now, would you ask to see the document?
I think I'd like to see the document.
Me too. So why does Manu Raju not want to see the document? Because it's all about breaking the story before somebody else does.
Well, who was that dummy also in the past with the George Bush National Guard story? The AWOLs.
Oh, I remember that.
From CBS.
Yeah, from CBS, yes. There's so many of them out. I mean, you can talk about the guy on ABC who was just recently suspended for running a false story. There's so much going on right now in the media.
And Charlie Rose, bro. What is going on? Like, we didn't even barely talk about Charlie Rose. I know that we're not talking about him, but just for a split second. Just please think about it. Charlie Rose is out there hitting on women. I don't even know what he was accused of. It had something to do with women, I heard.
Yeah, another sexual misconduct thing.
Charlie
Absolutely.
Rose, though. Come on. Jeez, I don't know what to say.
But, okay, so, yes, there's that aspect of it all. They're all idiots there. But there's also the element of CNN lies and MSNBC and CBS swear by it. Because they had their own quote-unquote independent verification of these quote-unquote multiple sources regarding this quote-unquote email.
Gene, I have to ask a question. So since Donald Trump has come onto the scene, I mean, New Yorkers have known him for decades now, but I mean, since he's come onto the national scene, what has the man really been wrong about? I mean, he talked during the campaign about winning, and you get so tired of winning that you're going to say, please, Mr. President, let's stop winning. I kind of agree with him, man. He's been right almost on everything. Fake news, CNN, look at it. I mean, is it even arguable that CNN is real news? I mean, who will argue that?
But the fact that he keeps getting right about all this stuff keeps him in business when Obamacare doesn't pass the House and the Senate, or when any other policy initiative comes up short, or when there is something to talk about, like Anthony Scaramucci or something like that. All this saves Trump from having to say, he was wrong about A, B, or C, because they're wrong just as often, if not more so.
If not more. The news is their business, supposedly. And CNN just can't get it right.
I mean, and the pile-on effect, the Trump derangement syndrome here, Russ, is so palpable. Because you have CNN with their own Trump derangement rushing to get the story out without doing the proper thing. You have MSDNC and CBS doing the same exact thing, piling on top. You have members of Congress and other writers on Twitter linking the story and promoting it for CNN to the point where they're going to hundreds and thousands of their followers and they're showing them this story. And then when the story comes out to be false, nobody talks about, the retraction of it or that it was proved false in their little sphere, in their bubble. And it just sits in there, and the misinformation sits in there, and it perpetuates more Trump derangement system. They are harming their own cause more than they are helping it.
Well, God bless them. I mean, God bless them.
Yeah, keep doing it. I don't mind, but I'm just saying.
They're gonna walk Trump into a second term.
That's exactly what we're in year 1. We're only in year 1 going into year 2. And all this is going on. It's like a tornado of just crap. That's all it is. But you know what? You want to clear up the crap, though, Russ? Here's what you do. If you're CNN, clear up the crap. Burn those anonymous sources. Go on your retraction and say, person X, person Y, and person Z all said this to me. Person X, person Y, and person Z were all crap. Burn them so they can never do it again with any other source. You know why they won't burn them, Russ? Because I guarantee you these sources are coming from within the halls of Congress. And they're coming from high-level staffers with members of Congress and members of the Senate. I guarantee you that